what you sound like. Yeah.
Whatever. Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. I always have to do the intro because I'm the best at it.
Shut up.
It's just your job. It's your one and only job.
Hey, quiet there, newbie. You need to go through a
Newbie.
rehire schedule. That's right,
A
everybody. We
rehire
got him
schedule.
back. We dragged him back from the depths of nowhere. Connor
Yeah.
Wright rejoins us on episode 36 of the Designated Players Podcast. Welcome, everybody.
You want to try that again?
Yeah, it's episode 35. And you say I'm the newbie.
Dude, we don't teach numbers at Alfred.
I can't count. I can't read and I can't count. Whoever gave me a job as an engineer, bad idea.
God damn it.
Episode 35, we got him back. So you're back one episode earlier. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How is your sabbatical? How you feeling?
So I sabbaticaled for work, starting up my first job, and things have kind of, I kind of got things a little bit more settled. So I have the time to come back, and probably around January, I'll be gone again for a little bit.
Look at that. He doesn't prioritize the podcast like myself and Adam, which is why he's number 3 and the newbie. You know what we know for a fact, though? He did not take this sabbatical to get a new scarf. I can guarantee he still got that new one. What's up, everybody? It is episode 35 of the Designated Players Podcast. That was a super long intro to bring back Mr. Wright. Thank you for coming back and joining us again. We hope you stay for a little bit longer than 30 episodes this time. I think it'll
Promises. I'm only back because you're threatening me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, whatever works, right? Before we get into all of what we're going to be talking about, we all need to bow our heads and take a moment of silence. Benny Ball has officially died in D.C. Ben Olsen, after we just talked about his gaffes and his amazing play style and all the things we love as Red Bull fans in D.C., was let go from D.C. United. And on this podcast, that is like the biggest heartbreak we can experience. Thank you for the laughs and the memories, Benny. I hope you staying in DC as a member of whatever you're doing. I hope you get to have some say in the team so you can continue to implement your ideas because we love them here at Red Bull. But anyways, we got a really good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about Caden Clark's debut for Red Bull. That's right. We're going back to a Red Bull topic because why not, right? 17-year-old steps on, gets signed, 4 hours later steps on and hits a wonder goal to beat Atlanta in his first appearance ever. Can't just knock that. We're going to talk about what is the West going to look like come the end of this season? Who's going to get those last playoff spots? Because the top 3 or 4 are pretty solid. They can change a little bit, but we know who's going to make it. But that run for the last 3 or 4 spots is going to be very, very tight. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about RSL. RSL's got a problem, man. They are, oh, man. What's going on? Like, they just kind of look like crap. So we're going to talk about RSL having a problem. We'll give you our weekly rundown, which we are now affirmatively calling This Week in MLS or This Week in USMNT, depending on what week it is. But we're going to start with This Week in MLS. That is our segment. We'll hit it with the fantasy recap and our must-haves and differentials, and we'll call it a day. However, before we do all that, as we always do, Scarf of the Week. Connor, I know you don't have anything different, but we're going to go ahead and send it your way anyway. Psych.
Oh, I'm sure everybody's been waiting for this. However long it's been of a wait. I think it's only been like 5 episodes, but
it feels like a lifetime, Mr. Wright. It feels like a lifetime.
It's still here. It's still unclean, hasn't been washed, just so I can make sure that it still had that special podcast taste on it.
You eating your scarves?
I do when I have to watch Atlanta play nowadays.
That's fair.
Adam, what are we rocking today? You don't do scarves anymore because you're not cool.
I don't. Well, I'm just trying to change it up. I have more scarves than they're on their way. But I brought the retro AC Milan kit.
All right. I have no complaints. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's nice.
A little bit of Alexander Pato on the back.
All right. You are more than welcome.
Chelsea legend.
You keep doing stuff like that. Oh, who said Chelsea? Is it too early to kick him back off the pod from things like that?
Why did you say who said it? You think Adam said that about his own shirt
he comes in for 5 minutes and we all need to kick him off again. God, he doesn't learn, does he? I brought this out a little bit last week, but we'll make it a little bit more official this week. We are officially rocking the Las Vegas Lights FC kit. scarf, for our good buddy Quincy. This was off to the side. With Everton taking a break before they beat down on Liverpool, I figured I'd swap the scarves out. Shouldn't hurt any of the good luck. And if it does, we just start up a new streak. Anybody else got anything they want to throw in there?
Yeah. I think there's only one man that can replace Benny Ball in MLS, and it's a certain former USMNT manager.
No, I don't want him anywhere near MLS. He's gonna genuinely play Julian Gressel at right back or at striker. Rather.
He's the only one that's gonna play Dax McCarty at Cam. Come on, no one else can do it. Stop.
We're not gonna even entertain the idea of Clinton.
He's available right now too.
Stop. I'm sure he is, because apparently the last team that he went to, he wasn't actually qualified to coach, which somehow he got away with. But we're not gonna go there. We're gonna go and talk about much better things. And what a perfect episode to bring back our resident Atlanta fan. Caden Clark, man. Caden Clark, 17 years old, put a dagger in big fancy MLS's hometown baby Atlanta in his first MLS debut. Casually, and I'll say casually, just walks out on the field, signed 4 hours ago, gets the start, 45 minutes into his debut, ball pops up to him, and he hits a first-time volley right into the bottom corner. Brad Guzan cries like a little baby, as he always does when things go in his goal, because he sucks, because we don't like him. But let's break it down. Let's break down Caden Clark's MLS debut, starting with the numbers. And I will be honest with you. If you went and looked at the score sheet right now and looked at his box score, his numbers look awful. 1 shot on goal from 1 shot, 9 out of 14 passes completed, no key passes, no dribbles, no tackles. Like it almost looks like he didn't exist outside of the 1 goal he had. But if you watch the game, anybody who watched the game knew that there was a really bright future ahead of this guy, and there is a reason. And it's because he was doing stuff that we haven't seen pretty much all year. And he was looking to make passes, which I know is crazy for a pro player to look to pass the ball. But that's what he did. He walked into that midfield and tried to be a connecting piece. And you could tell the first 15 minutes he was all over the place. He was like, I got to get into the game. I got to hit people. I got to do whatever. He calmed down, he got into the game, and you saw him start picking his head up and trying to find these split passes, these through balls. And that is something we haven't seen all year, because Kaku does it a little bit, but most of the time Kaku's trying to chase and pick up a second ball and then play it in. He went in and got the ball from the back line and went forward with it, which is something we haven't seen yet. And granted, as we saw in the numbers, sometimes it doesn't come off. Sometimes he doesn't put the right ball through. But the vision and the ideas that he had were so much better than things that we have seen in the past, we'll say 2 months, right? He's not content with being let's just kick the ball really long, pick it up, and then see where we can go from here. He wants to get in, connect, make intelligent passes, get good people into good spaces, and make high-quality chances. And that's what is something that I'm super excited to see how he goes on, because I can see him being very, very successful. Brendan Aronson, that's the comparison I'm going to make here is young, really, really smart, and really, really good vision. That's the comparison I'm making just after the first 60 whatever minutes he played. The other thing that I really, really liked about it was once he settled down, like that 15 minutes passed, once he settled down, he looked like he's been there for years. There were, when you put a 17-year-old on the field, all they want to do is run and hit and kick far, and it's like their head's fuzzy. After that 15 minutes, he settled down and just started making these little combination passes, turning out of space, connecting sections, and all these things that you don't expect out of a kid who's 17 years old, who just played his first, couple of professional games down at Red Bull 2. Like, it's just he's a different breed than some of the other guys that we brought up recently. And it's really exciting to see, because if you can put him and Kaku together with a striker that has some sort of talent like BWP had, this kid's going to have 15 assists a year for however long we can keep him, so long as we have somebody who can finish. Now, granted, Brian White's still kind of hurt, so once he gets back, we'll talk about it. Right, Adam? He's shaking his head.
I'm just not going to say anything.
once we get somebody there with genuine quality, right? Genuine quality. We talk about not playing Royer there. I'm not a big fan of this Tete guy yet. I don't think he's really shown anything. Granted, he's been playing at the 10 spot every time he's gone in, which I don't get. But I think we get somebody. I think if Philwell can connect some things and bring in one really high-quality young striker who can actually play the game, this might be a very Tyler Adams-esque player who is the key difference maker with Caceres behind him and him in front. These guys are going to be like Tyler Adams and Question, or Tyler Adams and or Dax McCarty and Question, excuse me, Tyler Adams and Kaku. That sort of win the ball, give the ball up, let him make the plays. That's all you got to do. And that's what I'm really excited for. If you can play them both together, oh, it's going to be so exciting. Now let's talk about the goal a little bit. 47th minute. Let's set the scene. It's a 47th minute. You're playing away at a very, very hyped up stadium. Granted, no fans in there, but it's a hyped up stadium. You know the atmosphere that you're usually playing in. It's your first game. You just signed your contract. Then a ball comes flying through the air towards you. It's dropping right at your feet. And instead of trying to take it down and make a pass like you probably – because you don't want to try and rip a volley and shank it and make yourself look stupid at 17, right? You usually want to take it down and see what you can do with it. This kid steps up and takes a full volley. Not even he doesn't even let it bounce. Just takes it straight out of the air. Puts a full volley straight towards goal and right in the bottom corner. The fact that he's that confident at 17 in his first game, 4 hours after signing, that is only good for what we can expect in the future, because we can tell that he's never going to back down from anything. Again, very Tyler Adams-esque, where it doesn't matter how old you are. If you can play, you can play, right? That's a saying. So this kid is ready to step up to the challenge, and physically he'll still need to get there, right? And I think we could see that when he played. Physically, he's getting bumped off the ball. People are a little bit faster than him, whatever. But his brain is there. So if he can catch it, if his body can catch up to his brain, this kid is going to be very, very dangerous very, very soon. And just to round it off, RBNY bought his rights from Minnesota for $75,000. And people were losing their mind, like, why would we pay so much for this kid? He came through our academy system, blah, blah, blah. This kid, and you can mark my words on this kid, by the time he is 20, is going to make a big multi-million-dollar move to a Euro club. And we're going to get a good sell-on fee for him, just like Tyler Adams did. $75,000, nobody's going to even bat an eye to. This kid is going to follow that footstep. And you can mark my words.
I find it interesting that you labeled it as a Euro club as opposed to a Red Bull club, because we know he's just going to end up at another Red Bull club.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he'll follow, like, genuinely just follow Tyler and just go straight to Germany, or if they'll try and get him in, Belgium or something. Because I think he could probably fit in those shoes pretty well. But I think he's got a real bright future ahead of him. Just watching the way that he thinks at the age he's at, it will only develop from here. That's what I'm thinking.
Fair. Connor, did you watch this game by any chance?
I caught most of it.
Okay. Because while the Red Bulls 17-year-old's making his debut and looking good, Atlanta's new DP also made his debut. So I wanted to know your thoughts, because as someone who's the new PT in quotes, I can't say I was super impressed by him. Granted, it was his first game, but if you're going to compare him to one of the best players to ever play for Atlanta, you're going to have to do more.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough right now because obviously Atlanta are going through a transitional season where you sold everybody and brought in nobody. So now you're kind of just – it's almost like you're just throwing in any players that you had at the club, and you're like, all right, let's see if they're actually any good. And then you regroup in the future. I think that I thought he was, he had his moments in the game where I feel like there was some potential. And when Yosef's back, that'll definitely help. No question.
Also,
I feel like it can only, it can't be, at worst, he's probably as good as PT was. At best, he's as good as Almiron was. Somewhere in between that range is probably fair.
yeah,
If I can add on to that, I liked what he brought a lot when you consider the fact of the team that played around him.
true.
What do you mean? He had John Gallagher with
John
him.
Gallagher up top. And he's still making chances and doing what he can do. Like I said, you surround him with Josef, and I know you're going to start signing more players, but Jürgen Damm, right? Jürgen Damm can do a little bit more once he gets settled. I think Barco's gone. I don't know if you guys saw that video
Yeah.
of them guessing their ratings, and he just goes, bye. So I'm sure he's out. But again, you will replace him eventually, and once you surround a player like that with players that need to be around him, you guys will go back to where you need to be. I thought he was very good with what he had, and I think he'll be a fine signing in the future.
It all depends on the coach. If we get another Frank de Boer, this could end up being another PT incident. But if you get him a good coach like Tata with Miguel, then yeah, he can definitely live up to the hype that he should be like a game-changing DP for us.
So I'm glad you brought your ex-coach up, because there's a certain national team who has now gone 2 games for the first time in 5 years without scoring a goal.
And de Boer special.
Frank de Boer special.
That was supposed to be in our weekly roundup, Adam. That's another one that we should have put in there, but
yeah.
we'll have to sort that out. We need to work on that with you, but it's all right.
I got excited.
I know you did, but listen, who doesn't get excited to make fun of Connor, especially because he hasn't been here in so long,
Sure, I got to get it all out,
I know. It's just going to be the whole episode is just going to be shot after shot after shot. And that's okay, because that's what Connor does. He has to take it because he left us. But you know what, Connor? I've finished, bragging about my 17-year-old that tore up your team. Why don't you move on to your segment so people can hear what you think again?
I was going to talk about Moreno and his debut, but since I've been gone for a little bit, maybe I'll just kind of recap where I think Atlanta is right now. Give a little Atlanta insight, because I know that's what this podcast has been missing, is some Atlanta love. Like as I said before, it's definitely a team in transition, and I really hate the fact that they just stripped so many of their key players and then replaced it with, I don't even want to say replaced it with nobody, because it seems like they tried to replace people, but they just were unsuccessful. Like, you brought in Lennon, you brought in Jake Mulroney, you brought in Meza, you brought in Hyman permanently, but it just didn't work out at all. And I think their midfielders, they're definitely their weakest point right now. It's just, I feel like it's a mess. And if they're gonna, get things back on track, they need to sort out the midfield. They're really missing Darlington Nagby right now. Someone who surprisingly I feel like has been playing pretty well. Obviously, he's not gonna be a long-term player, I don't think, for the club, but John Gallagher, I feel like, has been pretty decent since he stepped in. I really didn't expect him to do anything for the team when he was out with, I think he was on loan in Scotland. I was like, I don't think this guy's ever going to see any game time with Atlanta. But then he's come in and, he had a good game against DC, which, granted, anybody can have a good game against DC right now, even FCC. But even in this game, I didn't think he was horrible. I feel like he's probably our best striker option right now. So that kind of tells you where Atlanta is. A little bit bleak right now. This is a tough time for Atlanta fans. And, when we can get fans back in the stadium, it'll really show how many people are loyal to this club. But, this is the year to have a down year. So maybe we'll rebound next year. We'll get Josef back and things will start to look good again. Just like the good old days. Back to beating Red Bull in the playoffs.
Yeah, stop you. So I'll be honest with you. I think I really liked I thought Mulroney was okay last night. I thought he was decent. I know he hasn't been good game to game, but I thought he showed sparks last night of what they expected from him game in and game out. I thought he just destroyed Duncan here and there. Couldn't get anything out of it because you're not playing with Josef up front, but I think he showed a lot more than what we've been used to.
I'm not on board with him for me personally, but we don't really have any other options, so I'll just have to deal with it.
That's totally fair. Yeah, that is fair. That's all right. That's where I'll end that. I was gonna go into it a little bit more, but it is what it is. Tell me something about the new DP that you got. It was Moreno, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more. Like, what don't I know about him? Because I didn't really do a lot of research on him. Is he he's from the same club PT came from, right?
He's from, I think, the same club as Miggy. I think he's from Lanús.
Lanús, yeah. I didn't know which one came from.
Yeah, so obviously you're going to come from the same club as him. There's definitely going to be a lot of, like, similar – people are going to associate you with Miggy, you know. Maybe him personally, he may not know those expectations, but certainly for the fans, I feel like they're going to put Miggy expectations on him because he's from the same club and he plays a similar position. But I don't think he plays a similar game to Miggy. I feel like he's a little bit more of a – maybe I would say even like a little bit more technically better, but there was like something about Almiron that I can't like put my finger on right now, but he was just like maybe his quickness, like his athleticism was a great feature to have, but I just always remember him just not necessarily like doing crazy dribble moves to get past players, just being like really fast and just dribbling straight towards goal.
His ability in open space, right? His ability in open space is very good.
Yeah.
And that's what you didn't have from PT. PT had it every once in a while, but Miggy, it was consistently get the ball, lay it off, and go. And then once you're into space, you're gone. But again, you know, we won't dive too far into it, but you can compare and contrast the teams that they played with, you know, who was behind him, who was in front of him, whatever. But, you know, I think your assessment earlier was fair that he'll probably fall somewhere in between there. If given the right support, right? If given the right support.
Yeah, which is going to be a big if because, you know, as you said before, they're probably going to lose Barco. So that's going to open up another designated player spot. And they really got to get this one right. I think, me personally, I would love to see them grab a midfielder and just shore up that midfield because I just don't think Emerson Hyndman is doing it for me.
I think you need to go out and get yourself a lockdown center back to play next to – well, I know Robinson's hurt, but I'm not a fan of Meza. I don't think he's been spot on. I think Escobar has been very, very good. He was locked down against Red Bull, but I think you really got to go out and get a Gonzalez-Perez true replacement.
I know, but I don't think we need to necessarily spend a designated player spot on a center back. I think there's guys out there that you can get without having to use that slot.
I would like to see what you could spin and see if you could pull it as a GAM or a TAM signing. But
how many guys right now are designated players like in a defensive position?
Not many.
Probably not many. Yeah. I mean, I'll look around while we
I'll look for it right now.
See if I can find someone.
I'll look for it right now, and we can kind of move on from this. I think because I don't want to keep.
I don't want to take up too much time.
But right, and that's what we're looking at is what can we, what do you guys need to do? But let's move into Adam's segment. Adam.
Yeah. So
what's going on, man?
What?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm all right. It's been a long weekend.
You've been pretty quiet over there, but that's okay. So what I'll say is tell me about this race for the bottom of the playoff spot in the West. Tell me about it a little bit.
Yeah, so Andrew and I spoke about the top team in the East last week because that's a little bit more clear-cut as far as the top. I mean, Seattle is most likely the top of the West, but those top 3 teams, you could realistically argue that any one of them could finish in the top spot. But if you look a little further down the table, it is just a mess. I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams are within 3 points of each other for those last 4 spots for the playoffs. I mean, it's a whole nother argument, but like 2 main teams in this league make playoffs. Like we've said it. Like we've said it too many times. You don't have to be good throughout the season to make a playoff spot.
Yep.
Like, how many of these teams have 2, 3 wins and could potentially make the playoffs right now?
Too many.
Yeah, like that. You can't do that. I mean, we can all realistically assume that the Galaxy are out, right? Everyone's good with that?
I would hope so.
Okay. Connor, you're good?
You never know. They could. I don't think they will, but honestly, you really never know.
I mean,
He's right. You don't know.
I mean, Chicharito's most meaningful contribution this year has been fighting with Wando last game against the Earthquakes. So, but then we have like RSL, Vancouver, and Houston in those bottom 3, like outside the playoff spots, but who could all I say realistically, but having as good a chance as anyone of sneaking in to that last spot. San Jose could fall out. Dallas has been hit and miss. And then once you start getting to like the LAFCs, the Minnesotas, you think those teams are probably fairly safe. But it's just whoever gets that last spot, I want to say deserves it because obviously they must have had some sort of late season push where they did well enough to get the results. But at the same time, barely squeaking into a playoff spot in a league where everybody makes the playoffs is not something to celebrate. Like, you barely cross the finish line. You don't get a participation trophy. This is not my 7-year-old boys team. It's not the way this is not the way this league works. I know we'll get into it in a little bit, but RSL have a real issue scoring. Vancouver, anytime anyone puts an 8 out of 10 performance in, immediately gets sold. Houston is bipolar in terms of results. I mean, they'll destroy like an LA or a Dallas and then lose to Miami 2-0. Colorado pains me to say because I said they were going to finish top 3 this year before everything kind of fell apart, but they just haven't looked on it so far. And who knows what's going on with San Jose.
They're getting hot, but I think none of their fans think it's gonna stay in. I posted that video in the Reddit, and they're like, "Yeah, are we happy? Yeah. Do we think it's gonna stay? No."
Right, and I'd have to imagine that the players probably feel the same way. At least those that have been on that Earthquakes team for a while and kind of know their history.
Yep. So, who do we think is taking? We'll say. I'm going to look at the standings here for a second. Hold, please. Just a score update, by the way, since we're here. We are in the middle of the games for tonight. Chicago's still up 2-1 on DC United. Cincinnati's losing 0-1 against TFC. Nashville and SKC tied 1-1. Philly up 2-1 on Montreal. Portland, San Jose tonight, and I'll be watching that game. And then we start the week anew on the 14th. So, anyway, standings. Fun. We're looking at the Western Conference. You've got from 6 to 12, and we'll kick Galaxy out. 6 to 11 is separated by 3 points. You've got Dallas, San Jose, Colorado, Houston, Vancouver, RSL. Who takes the 3 spots out of those 6 teams?
So 6, 7, 8 is what you're saying?
Yeah.
6, 7, 8. We'll say 1 through 5 is probably going to stay there. Maybe Minnesota slips up a little bit.
Okay.
Not in any particular order. I think I really want to say Vancouver will sneak in, but I'd be very surprised if they actually did. Of the teams that are currently not in a playoff spot, I think Houston takes the last one. I think they have enough going forward that once they can kind of just pack people behind the ball and figure out that back line, I think that going forward they'll have enough to start getting.
Out of curiosity, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Who do you think they have going forward?
Darwin.
That's it.
That's all you need. Andrew, we've been over this. That's all you need.
I was about to say, because Elise is gone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
you have Darwin.
Darwin. Just Darwin. All right,
and
mate.
Memo.
Yeah, Darwin and Memo is all you need.
All right, mate. As long as that makes you happy. So who out of the top
Tommy
three,
Mac.
who out of the top three doesn't make it then?
Out of 6, 7, 8, you mean? Who are
Yeah,
currently
Dallas, San Jose, Colorado. Who doesn't make it?
Probably Colorado.
Oh no, you can't. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to derail your own train.
Fine, San Jose.
There you go.
All right, Connor. What about you? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the 3 that are in the playoffs right now are all going to be in the playoffs at the end.
Wow, how very original of you. Very, very thought-provoking. You know what would make me really happy? It won't happen. If Dallas just fell off the face of the earth again like they did in 2016 and just missed the playoffs. You want to know why? Because nobody would care. Not a single person would be like, oh, my God, I can't believe Dallas fell out again. Because I guarantee you half of us thought they weren't in the playoff race. The other half thought they were probably top 3. But nobody knows because they're FC Dallas. Personally, I think San Jose ride this. They'll stay. I think Colorado falls out. I think Dallas barely holds on. I want to say Vancouver get hot because I think eventually all their players are going to come back healthy and they're all going to play together at some point, and they're going to get hot. They're going to sneak into 8.
So who else is missing other than their goalie?
Well, they keep selling players, right? So my other
that's the issue is those guys aren't coming back.
So add that there. So while there are some of them who are hurt, they also have these players who are trying to fit into their roles. Eventually, they'll gel and they'll get it. Do I think it'll be within the next 6 games? Maybe. I don't know. I hope so because – and you keep shaking your head like no. They're 3 points out of – they're 2 points out – they're 1 point out of 8th.
I said I hope Vancouver does it. I just don't think they will.
You're a doubter.
I feel like both of you are sleeping on Colorado a lot.
I mean,
they sold Kai Kamara, who's their striker now.
They're in the playoff spot right now with 4 games in hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice that. That's on me. Yeah, Colorado stays.
Plus, in their last 4 games, they won 5-0. The last 4-1. They won 2-0 and they won 5-0.
So that's on me. I thought they were still up to date with all their games. I forgot they've gotten all of their games canceled.
Yeah.
Which also makes you keep in mind, LA Galaxy have 2 games in hand too, or a game.
Galaxy suck.
But they're only 1 win out of 10th, and then a point out of 8th.
That might be asking a lot.
Yeah.
It might be, or Chicharito gets super hot super quick.
I mean, you realize Miami have more wins than they do, and Miami couldn't win for the first 9 games of their existence.
All right, side note. What happens if LA Galaxy finish dead last after signing Chicharito and Pavone? What happens? Do they just blow the whole thing up and go again? That's a conversation.
Dead last in the West in the entire
dead last period.
Oh, they're not going to do that.
They're not. They've got horrible. But
yeah.
All right, food for thought later. But yeah, no. All right, Colorado's going to stay because they've got those games in hands. I didn't realize. You know what? FC Dallas might genuinely fall out. I couldn't tell you. Connor, you could quiz me right now and tell me what were FC Dallas's last 3 results. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. I don't know anything about FC Dallas.
I think it's a lot of 0-0 draws.
Yeah, I feel like they just tied everything 0-0.
What do you mean? They just lost to Houston, and then they tied Columbus, and then they tied Orlando.
All 0-0, right?
And their last 4
Columbus
games, they scored in one of the games.
Yeah, the Columbus game was 2-2.
I think FC Dallas is going to fall out because they just can't get wins, and I think Vancouver gets hot and moves in. Maybe Houston too. I don't know. I think Houston doesn't. I don't like Houston, so I'm going to say not Houston. Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. It's a biased pick. What are you going to do about it?
Vancouver have a very easy solution to all of their issues.
Fun fact, you know who the only DP signed as a defender is right now?
Atlanta-NYRB.
Atlanta-NYRB. I looked it up. Hype Trey.
Telling you, if they want to make a playoff spot, all they have to do is very simple. Throw him up top and watch magic happen.
Man, you know who they need over there to start moving some players around? Benny. Put Benny in Vancouver and let him play anybody anywhere.
God.
Benny's coming back.
Benny's back. Oh man, that's fun. So go ahead, leave us a comment if you've got, you're listening to this and you got some ideas. Tell me who you think is going to finish in those bottom 3, 6, 7, and 8 in the West. Just have some fun with it. All right. So we're going to move on, and we'll talk a little bit of this week in MLS, I think, unless we want to go and we want to focus on RSL for a little bit and talk about how they're really not good.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of my roundup. So we spoke about how RSL's toward the bottom of the West. They only lost 2-1 to Vancouver over the weekend. They're still in a playoff spot, so they're okay for right now at the moment, but dear God, they need someone who can put the ball in the net. Like, it's very difficult to win games in this league if you can't score. And by very difficult, I mean like kind of impossible.
Well, I mean, you could get own goals.
Yes, which
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't think relying on own goals is a viable strategy for a professional team.
Well, this is why you're not a professional coach. Okay?
You got a point.
I do have a point.
I wouldn't. So this actually wouldn't have been something we spoke about tonight if I didn't see what their coach said after their loss the other day. He said the fact that they don't have a proven like 15, 20 goal a year striker, it's been a problem for 4 or 5 years. They don't have someone who will score us a lot of goals. If only there was a time during the year where you could like bring in a goal scorer. Like MLS should
cutthroat price.
Yeah, like MLS should, make some sort of like transfer window where you could just bring like a player if you really need a striker one year. Like you just spend a lot of money and go for that. That would be a good idea. That would make some really interesting things around the league.
Man, they brought in Sam Johnson.
Cool.
In 2019, and he has 10 goals. He scored 9 goals last year, but he has 1 goal in 10 games in 3 starts. I don't know if he's been hurt. I don't know if he just kind of sucks, but it's kind of ridiculous that you were going to sign a designated player. This is a Verone-esque signing. Signing, performs, comes back, and you just don't put him on the field. And that's just pure coaching fallacy. You've got somebody there who has you 9 goals in just 1,300 minutes. It's not brilliant. It's not amazing. But you guys don't have a goal scorer, and you have one sitting on the bench. You've given him 330 minutes this year. Is he hurt? I don't know. I will look it up. But if he isn't, that's ridiculous.
So they do. I will cut them a little slack. They do have a bunch of their attacking players who are out injured right now. But they still, even with everyone healthy, they don't have like a Bradley Wright Phillips or a Joseph who's good, is going to be their main striker and get you 20 goals a season and like win you games single-handedly. They just don't have that. And the fact that this coach has been there for 4 or 5 years and hasn't addressed it is an issue. I could understand if this was his first year and was like, oh, we don't have a striker this year, so that'll be something we look into going into next season. Like, you've had how many transfer windows to fix this and just haven't done it. Granted, RSL's owner and upper management is a bit of a mess right now. We won't really go into his comments, but maybe there's an issue,
Oh, for sure.
there. But at some point you got to kind of just look at the manager and say,
Yeah.
like, you need to fix this. Like, it's kind of on you now.
So here's what I'll say. Two days ago, MLS updated their injury list. There's only one striker on there, and his name is Giuseppe Rossi.
Yeah.
Who, first of all, if that's your answer into your scoring issues,
You're in
you need to
trouble.
look at front office because that's an awful decision. The dude is 33, and he's been a walking injury since he went to Italy and turned down America. And you're like, yeah, this is the guy. Sam Johnson, it's not on there. What's Corey Baird up to? Corey Baird blew up one year and he disappeared. What is going on in Utah? Let's get some stats. Do.
Well, you stats. You know how we were talking about the center back question earlier for Atlanta?
Yeah.
I might have found someone that I think could fill in well, but I don't know how realistic
You're
the
not
move would be.
signing Gerard Piqué. I'm sorry.
No.
I know Barcelona are throwing everybody out the door.
Actually, I was going to say Messi, but
Oh, that was a good shout.
At center back, that's well done.
yeah.
You think Messi couldn't play center back in this league?
He probably could.
I was thinking Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Oh, that'd be cheeky. I don't think he'd fit this system, but I think it'd be cheeky.
Well, the only reason I say him is because his contract expires June 30th next year. He's currently at Tottenham, and we have Darren who has good Tottenham connections. It could probably get us a decent price for him if they even decided they wanted to pay, or maybe they wanted to try to get him on free. But I feel like he's kind of stunted his growth over in Europe and could probably maybe use a new change of scenery. So I think the move could be good for both parties, possibly.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. So
So
going back to
who your other option could be, Connor? You could slot back at center back?
I'm afraid to hear what you're about to say. Is it going to be Julian Gressel?
No. That'd be funny.
I was going to say Reece Buckmaster. I heard he's available.
Yeah. I was going to say Mo Adams.
Mo Adams probably would do less damage or less negative at center back than he does at center mid.
Or
Anyways, Big Yef.
Put Big Yef back there. He's got pace.
I can't stand when he's center back.
Corey Baird, 13 appearances, 9 starts, 800 minutes, 2 goals. Albert Rusnak, and I'm listing just everybody here is listed as a forward. Kryluk, who plays center mid. Miram, who has done nothing. He's got 3 goals in about 800 minutes. Rusnak has 2 goals in 900 minutes. It's almost – you can see it's a – I don't know what – Rusnak's in there twice. I don't know why.
He's that good.
Kryluk's in there too. Maybe this is just a I don't know. But anyways, you're looking at – it has to be a system thing because it's not like you've got one player scoring a ton and then he gets hurt. Nobody's scoring, nobody's getting assists. It's got to be a system thing. Like you can sign anybody you want. But if you're not going to get a system that's going to help, bad things are going to happen. And that's why RSL is – that's got to be – I'm gonna make it an effort to watch RSL next time they play. I'm going to look up the schedule real quick so we can talk about it. RSL next play.
You're going to have a lot of fun with that one, I bet.
I bet you. RSL's next game is against Portland, 9:30 on – is that a Wednesday? On Wednesday. Good. So I'll put out tweets. Follow the Twitter so we can share this. I'll put this video out, this clip out when this goes live, and then we'll talk about it.
Can you believe this RSL team was 3rd in the West last season?
Absurd. Absolutely absurd. But they sold all their good players from that team and didn't replace them. That's what happens.
Yeah. The guys that they end up selling, I'm trying to remember who they sold.
Everybody. Literally everybody.
Ja Plata's gone.
Right.
Who was the other one? The guy who he went to, I think, Colombia, I think.
Yuri Movsisian, but that's
Movsisian's not the right answer. Sorry.
I know, but he was also gone.
Well, I'll look it up. Let's move on and finish some of the other talking points we had.
All right. So we spoke briefly about Benny Ball after a decade at DC.
R.I.P.
He is no longer there. So we will see. DC is now one of two MLS clubs that don't have a permanent manager in place. So we shall see what DC does. I'm sure he will be involved in the front office in some capacity. I'd have to imagine after that long at the club.
Yeah.
Two transfers now. So one confirmed, one just a rumor. Federico Higuain to Miami. This doesn't really do anything for me.
Brothers.
Yeah, I have to assume it was some sort of it was part of Gonzalo's contract negotiations when he signed for Miami that they would then try to go for his brother just so the two of them can play together.
I have no issue with that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The last time they played together was back when they were in Argentina at River Plate. So I'm sure it's nice to be training every day with the two of them now.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
But it's not as if Federico is playing every week with DC anymore. So I can't imagine he's going to get a whole lot of game time for Miami. I mean, our midfield's pretty set right now, especially with Matuidi starting every game, Pizarro, Lewis Morgan. Like our midfield's kind of set. He'll probably come in at the very end of games, like 10 minutes left, if that, and just, brief cameo appearances.
Yep.
Then the other one, and I'm very curious to see, A, if this happens, and B, what team he goes to. Sergio Romero is linked with a bunch of MLS clubs.
That'd be so crazy.
I have to imagine he comes in and is the best goalie in the league.
I'd argue that there are some that can at least challenge him. I think Guzan is still solid. No matter how much he cries about what goes on. I think Stephen Fry is still up there.
Matt Turner. At least right now.
Oh, Connor. We had this discussion last week.
Connor, we talked about this
did
already.
You?
Yeah.
I'm catching up.
But yeah,
you talked about Matt Turner and Stefan, right?
Yeah.
Comparing them.
Yeah.
He's not Stefan. He's not Stefan. Not even close.
No, but
thanks for your input. You're a week late.
Yeah. So Sergio Romero looks like could be coming. With Dean Henderson now being David De Gea's starting rival / backup, Romero gets demoted to third string. I know he wanted to leave over this past summer transfer window, and United, for whatever reason, said no. I know his wife was very unhappy with that and posted to social media and, basically said, look at what he's given this club. He's never really actively tried to push for a starting role. He's been, content with the odd cup appearances, which, to be fair, he's done extremely well in. And this is how they repay him. So I'll be interested to see, A, if an MLS team picks him up because he's a quality keeper. I kind of think of it as a similar situation to when Manone went to Minnesota. So we'll see.
I would love for him to come in and be the next Ray Semboli. That would make me happy. Have Sean Johnson go somewhere in Europe and then bring him into City and then have him be Ray Semboli. That would make my life.
Fair. Yeah.
I could see him going to LA. Either one of the teams.
I can't see him going to LAFC just because they brought in a new goalie this year. Granted, he's been not stellar.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, comparing him to Tyler Miller from last season is, you're never gonna win. You're never gonna win that battle. But he hasn't been fantastic. Granted, the LAFC backline as a whole this year has not been what it was. So, take it or leave it. But
go to the Galaxy then.
Yeah, he's international teammates with Pavone. I'm sure they're friends. I'm sure Insua is also Argentinian, so I'm sure there are enough,
I wonder if was he at United at the same time as Chicharito?
Probably.
There you go. Even more connection.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
potentially.
they need more people who Chicharito want. Yeah.
Yeah, because that'll help him
Exactly.
score.
He's the face of the team.
Oh my God.
Even I'm getting pissed at that.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably honestly he probably is the face of the team. Doesn't mean he deserves to be.
Anyways.
Yeah. And last but not least, just to wrap things up, the Red Bulls finally decided on a coach. They decided to pay probably a lot of money.
$2 mil. It was at least $2 mil.
Yeah, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, for a coach. We won't spend that on players unless they're going to go straight to our second team and never feature.
Exactly. So they brought in Gerhard Struber from Barnsley in England. I understand why, for the most part, but it's not as if Barnsley's playing this like expansive football and doing super well in the championship. Like they're bottom of the table. So
from what I've heard, he was doing a lot of really good things or had a lot of really good ideas that the board was just saying, I'm not getting you the players to play this system. Like the system that he wanted to play looked really good, but he didn't have the players to do it. Like you could see what was trying to happen. It just wasn't there. And I think Philwell is basically saying, I'm going to pay you to take your manager. And then I'm going to tell him I'm giving him financial backing.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that if the three of us knew what the Red Bulls actually did. So they can tell him all they want. Hey, we understand you might not have the players at Barnsley to play the way you want, but if you come to Red Bull, like, we got you. And then they'll sign some 15-year-old from wherever that isn't going to actually do anything.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm going to go with a little bit of hope is the word I'm going to use. I'm going to be hopeful that they're not going to go out and pay $2 million for a guy just to say, okay, take whatever crap players we have and make it work. At least if you're not taking him from Barcelona, right? Like if you're going to take him from some bottom of the table championship team, I assume you're going to give him some sort of backing. So we're gonna give him some benefit there.
Yeah, I mean, when it was first announced, I was a little confused because it seemed fairly random as far as like, why are you guys looking at Barnsley's coach? Like that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me until I found out that he used to work for Red Bull Salzburg. So he was their U15, 16, and under 19 coach. So I get it because we only hire from within. Because
you knew who they were going to hire was not going to be somebody we all knew.
Yes.
You knew they were going to go find somebody nobody's heard of, which is why I'm not going to jump and say I can't believe you didn't hire this guy. We all knew nobody. It's like the Hans Backe signing. Nobody knew who he was, but we're going to give him the shot. And he's been in the system. He knows how we want to play, and that's why I think they're also going to give him backing. You're not just going to let him go and attack a team that doesn't have the players to play the system you want to play without giving him some sort of backing.
Yeah, it was just one of those, like, I fully understand and I'm okay with Red Bull, having a system in place and the way that as a global franchise that they want to play. So hiring a coach that has experience and knows the ins and outs of how Red Bull operate, like, I get it. But at the same time, when I saw that they signed him and that he had those connections, I was like, yeah, all right. Like, that's fine. Like, I wasn't expecting them to go and, be in Atlanta and sign a Tata Martino. Like, that's not what Red Bull do.
Right.
That was never going to happen. But it just doesn't surprise me that it's some random guy that I've never heard of, but also has connections within Red Bull.
Yeah, no, like I said, I knew this is the type of signing we were going to get. I was rumored, and everybody has said that people were really hyped about what was going on. But again, positive outlook, positive vibe. We'll see what happens. On a side note, those players that we were talking about, the RSL players that were let go, Jefferson Savarino.
Thank you.
And Bofo Saucedo.
Mm.
And Danilo Acosta and Everton Luis.
Gotcha.
And Ramondo retired.
And Ramondo retired. And João Plata just stopped playing. João Plata is currently without a club. Or no, just kidding. He's at Toluca.
He is with a club, but I think he was just released.
Yeah, he was released, and then Toluca picked him up, which is ridiculous. But anyways, we'll just talk real quick about games that just ended. Toronto, congratulations, my Toronto fans. Evan Murky, shout out you because you keep asking me to do it. Toronto FC have been the first team to officially claim their spot in the MLS Cup playoffs. Well done. As we said last week, Toronto are probably the best of those four that we were talking about, and they have shown it today. Other things that just happened. The only reason they did that is because FCC apparently just got robbed of a penalty. We'll have to watch that back and talk about it. But in the 94th minute, there was a penalty call, and VAR overturned it for FCC. And I know Adam's probably smiling, saying good. Put FCC at the bottom.
Hate to see it. I am devastated.
Put them at the bottom of the table where they belong, right?
No, DC's still there.
Philadelphia beat Montreal 2-1. SKC scored a wonder goal to beat Nashville. I tweeted out on the podcast. Go follow us at the DBPod1. Put a little reply to it. Amadou Dia plays the ball over the top, and Eric Hurtado runs over lets the ball go over his shoulder. One-time volley chip over Joe Willis into the back of the net. We thought Caden Clark hit a good one-time volley. This thing is unreal. Go check it out. Chicago beat DCU 2-1 and LAFC 3-1 over Seattle. Oh, man. What do we got? We got prediction for Portland, San Jose. What are we thinking?
Before we do predictions, I just want to – if you haven't seen Ladaro's goal, you should do that because it's gross.
I watched that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was nasty. So what do we got? Just real quick. We'll do one prediction for the episode since we're here. Portland, San Jose. What are we saying?
3-1 Portland.
Okay.
I'm going to say 4-1 Portland.
I'm going to say 2-2. I think San Jose are going to keep going a little bit in a positive direction and pick up a point here.
Actually, I want to change mine to 3-2 Portland.
Okay. I think that my bad luck is going to make this another 7-0 game. And it's all going to depend on if they continue to play man-to-man because they've shown that it doesn't work against the good teams. But anyways, we want to finish up with a little bit of fantasy?
Yeah. So at the time of recording, our highest score for the week,
as always,
is Ryan Anderson. So he's currently sitting on, I believe, 110 points for the week. We had a few that are within 1 point. So depending on the Portland game tonight, those could be subject to change. But Ryan is also has kept his spot at the top of the leaderboard with 933 points overall for the season. A mere 130 ahead of me and Connor.
And way more than that ahead of me.
And way ahead of Andrew. So slowly but surely, we will make that up. Probably not.
No, definitely not.
But how'd you guys do this week?
Awful.
Well, we know.
You are now
that
1
was
point
more
ahead of
Connor.
me.
I'm 1 point ahead of you?
1 point ahead. I got 88 points this week because everybody on my team did fantastic, and then Shabilko got 2 points twice.
Oh, my God. I had him too, yeah.
I captained him.
Yeah,
that's
yikes.
dumb.
Yeah.
I had Shavilko as well, but I ended – well, I say ended. Am I done? Yeah, I'm done barring the Minnesota reschedule with 91 points.
I think I'm at like 64 or something.
I have Valeria as well, so I potentially might get more.
Could go higher, right?
Yeah. We shall see.
I have Diego as well.
Yeah, I mean, I captained Pozuelo, who did okay.
I captained Morris, who got me 14 points, which was okay.
I have to give a special moment of recognition to Connor because he decided to switcheroo with Nashville players, which makes zero
Bold as
sense to
hell.
me. Yeah,
Bold as
and it
hell.
paid off. So I
It
give
always
him
pays
credit.
off. Everything he does pays off. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I only
that was
marooned with Willis. That's it.
yeah, that was well done. I'm super annoyed I didn't put Aha in for Minnesota.
Yeah,
but,
I was looking to see who they were going to play in defense because somebody was out, I think, and
Yeah.
they decided to play him. As soon as I saw it in the as soon as they tweeted it, I was like, "Oh, gotta throw that in there."
yeah.
The other
And
thing,
it worked out.
the other thing that hurt me was Jensen didn't play the second game. Mara did. Mueller, Molino, Ruan, and Kamara. Two of them were my switcheroo players. Two of them started for me, and all of them had their games canceled. So
I had
kind of got shafted on that one.
Yeah, I had one of the Orlando defenders, but he got subbed out in that first game before the clean sheet bonus kicked in. So he only ended with 3 points. But my two Philly guys both had a clean sheet the first game.
Yeah, I need to do some changing because I kept kind of the same team for the past few weeks, and sometimes I do really good and sometimes I don't. So I need to start doing some bold changes here. But yeah, what do we want to do? Must-haves and such.
Yeah, so this is another big double game week with I think everyone playing twice. We'll play on Wednesday and then as well as this weekend. So Connor, must-have player this week.
You really put me on the spot here. Was not ready. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna say must-have for this week. I don't want to pick the typical ones.
Well, interesting.
All right, I'll say Nico Lodero then, because they're playing Colorado and San Jose.
Okay, Andrew.
I'm going with Pedro Santos with Columbus. He has had week 6 was 12 point, or week 5 was 16, 12, 7, 14, 12, and 11. So he's had double digits. 5 out of the last 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty good shout to bring him in against Orlando City and then FCC and then NYC. Mainly harping on that FCC game, but
that's fair. I mean, I really want to say Pozuelo, but that seems super obvious because he's probably going to be MVP. But playing against the Red Bulls in Atlanta this week, like, he'll probably destroy both of those teams by himself.
Yeah.
But if I want to be different, just to annoy Connor, I'm going to say Shavilko.
Nah, bastard.
Just because they're playing DC that first game, and I expect him to hopefully score.
Yeah, you would think, but he's.
Well, if you don't captain him, then you're fine. Yeah.
All right, so I'll put him in the team this week just so it's wrong.
There you go. All right, differentials. Andrew, do you have one?
I'm looking right now because I usually say Mueller or Duncan, but I need to take one of them out because they've screwed me twice.
Okay.
What is your definition of differential?
I do anything under like 8 mil.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just someone that's not a super obvious pick.
I think I got one. I just got to see what their matchups are. Whoop. Hold, please. Oh, yeah. That's actually pretty favorable there. Do they only have one game? I think they only have the one game, actually. So that might not be a good shout.
So Nashville's on a single.
Yep.
And I think one other team is on a single.
That's really weird because it seems like there's so many games. I wanted to say Leal from Nashville because he seems to be the only one outside of Zimmerman who are getting goals.
Yeah.
And against Houston, I feel like that's a pretty decent shout. So I'll go with that. I'll go with Leal from Nashville.
Okay. Connor?
Actually, let me check something really quick, and then I'll give you mine. You can do yours if you want while I do this.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Mine is I was gonna say Willis from Nashville, but I will change it because Andrew picked a Nashville player.
And because you just said you liked how much Houston has going forward with Darwin, you can't do that. You're not allowed to.
Yeah, it's understandable. I am gonna go with. Okay, all joking aside, I'm gonna go with Ali Adnan.
I think it's a decent shout, actually. Because what is he like?
How much does he cost right now?
He's super cheap, and he's playing against who's their first game?
Oh, wow, he is cheap.
They have both LA teams this weekend. So LAFC, I don't
know the decent is one of them.
Yeah, I expect the Galaxy game to be just an absolute dumpster fire of a match.
Okay. For mine, probably mine is I like this guy, but I don't know if he's going to play both. I mean, I hope that he ends up playing at least one, but I'm liking Kai Kamara.
Okay.
Kai Kamara was mine last week, and he actually he was doing decently, but he came off the bench in the game against Nashville and then didn't play this week because the second game got canceled.
Yeah, Minnesota got some good matchups against Chicago and who's the other team? Houston. So I feel like if he at least starts one of them, he's got a shot to score some goals.
I agree.
Can I make my super? So Ali Adnan 6.4, so still super cheap.
Yeah.
But I want my super differential player is going to be Baldissimo, so 4.8 midfielder from Vancouver.
Is he still playing in Vancouver, or was it just that one wonder goal he had?
I think he's still playing.
Okay.
A little surprised to see no Caden Clark as your differentials this week.
So I genuinely
knowing Red Bull, he scored a goal, he won him a game, all on the same day that he got signed. He's going right back to Red Bull too.
Oh yeah. But
I think if they send him anywhere but the starting lineup next week, we riot.
So I don't understand how Caden Clark signs his professional debut, and I understand fantasy doesn't always mimic real life, but comes in as a 5.0 midfielder when players like Omir Fernandez and Egbo and all these other guys are cheaper than he is and have been playing the whole season. Like, how, on what planet does that make sense? And granted, Caden will probably go up this week, which is fully deserved.
Oh, yeah.
Guys are starting to get really expensive now.
Yeah, well, this is where we don't have those rolling budgets, so it's not as fun.
I mean, Pozuelo in 2 weeks is going to be like 18 mil, which is
ridiculous.
Dumb.
He might be like a sixth of your entire team value by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else from anybody on the fantasy segment?
Nope.
I think I'm pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else to add in general about life, football?
You guys still do question of the day?
We haven't had one in a while.
Ooh.
You got one?
Yeah, I think I could. I mean, I don't know if you guys have talked about it already yet, but if you have, you can just tell me. But what I was thinking for question of the day is who's been the most disappointing team this season? Just out of the entire league, just the most disappointing team.
Galaxy.
I think that would say that. Oh, I don't know about that. Not the way that you hyped up Colorado.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'm gonna look at it as a from where we're at right now, like and from what we thought it would be to this point. I think you really do have to look at Colorado being, and granted, I want to put an asterisk next to them because they still have like 5 games in hand, right? So we do have to keep that in mind. I think there was a lot of hype put on Inter Miami for them to kind of be meh. I think Galaxy definitely fall in that category. For me, yeah, I'd probably have to go Galaxy just because all the other teams that are underperforming were expected to be where they are. Galaxy were meant to be mid-table, mid-playoff table. Everybody else is kind of where they're meant to be. I'd say Atlanta maybe, but I don't really put that anywhere because of the injury, right? So
It has to be the Galaxy. I mean,
it does have to be the Galaxy. Now
like,
that I look at it,
I understand Colorado probably has all around more talent, and like I was obviously the first one to say they were going to finish top 3. Yeah, but at the same time, the Galaxy, you expect the Galaxy to have like these crazy big names that come in and light the league on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And considering they finished 5th last season with 16 wins and they have 4 right now, granted the season is not like a real season, but if you spend all the money you spent on Chicharito and Pavone and still can't win games, like that's not a good look.
So here's what I'll say. I will say, if we come back and Colorado play all their games in hand and they're still like borderline playoff, I might pick them.
Okay.
With the Galaxy, you're trying to replace Zlatan with Chicharito. And we had that conversation, right? You're going out and paying the money, but it doesn't – I can drop $10 million on Alex Mouil to bring him back to Red Bull. It doesn't mean I'm replacing anybody, right? So the money isn't the issue. It's the what did you do to replace? Because all you did was try to do a like-for-like swap when you still had a lot of holes all over the place that you didn't fix. So it could have almost been expected. However, I want to see what happens with Colorado with these games in hand, because if they won all these games in hand and Portland lose today, they would be sitting at 3rd. They have 19 points right now. They'd have 28 points. Portland would be on 27. Everybody would have 16 games played. And
my prediction would come true.
Right. So we don't know where they are yet, and they might still have a really good year. We don't know. And to be fair to everybody else, the Galaxy are the same way. They have 1 game in hand on most people in the top half and 2 games in hand on most people in the bottom half, right? So if they get those 2 games in hand, they get up to, or we'll say 1 game in hand, you can jump up to 10th. You win that second game, you're at 22. You're at 21 points. You are now sitting tied 6th. That's how tight it is in there. So we can say anybody had a disappointing year, but that's a good question, Connor. I'm going to stick with Galaxy, but I would like to come back to it at a later date, please.
For me, I would say that even though we probably, most people probably didn't rate them to finish like super high in the table to begin with, I feel like DC's been extremely disappointing this year and underwhelming. And like I said, I know people probably didn't have them super high up in the table, but as of right now, they are on pace to finish with less wins and less points than FCC did last year.
In the comparable amount of games?
Yes. If you double their games right now, you get to 34 games. They're 2 points below what FCC were last year.
That's fantastic. That makes me happy. We were talking about San Jose being on a goal per game basis worse defensively. And this is another thing that baffles me and goes back to Adam's point about you don't need to be good to get in. Every team that's in the Western Conference playoff picture right now has like 17 to 20, we'll say 31 with LAFC, 27 with Portland goals against. San Jose had 40 with a minus 16 goal differential. And they're still in the playoff. They're still very well in the playoff picture. Mm-hmm. It's just so silly. But no, I think the reason why I don't have DC there is because I remember the days when DC lived at the bottom of the table. Back in the early 2010s was a decent time for all of us watching DC United at the bottom of the table. Good question, Connor. That was really good.
Yeah,
Does anybody?
I'm here for.
That's the reason we brought you back. I mean, listen.
Yeah, just for question of the day.
Just for question of the day. You can. Yeah, what was it? It was 10th in 2013, 11th in 2017. They didn't update through there, but it was nice to watch them sit at the bottom of the East for a little bit, But this is why I love MLS too, right? You go from 2nd in the East in 2012 to 10th in the East in 2013 to 1st in the East in 2014 because MLS doesn't make any sense. Anyways, we can go on that for another day. If you guys made it this far, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to our rambling. Welcome back, Connor. Thanks for coming. We're happy to have you back and happy to listen to you put some insight into things that we like to talk about. And we look forward to many good episodes with you. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? All right. Well, thanks for joining me, gentlemen. And again, thanks for making this far. Make sure you follow us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We'll be getting the Instagram up and running as soon as Adam gives me a password to the dang account, as I've been asking for the last 3 weeks.
Working on it.
We're working on it, but we'll get that going. We keep posting our clips on YouTube. We keep posting our episodes everywhere. Make sure you subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. Go ahead, check out feedsport.com, because if you go ahead and follow us on there, you get emails for when we go live. So go ahead and give them a little follow so you know when we go live via email. And other than that, I got nothing else to add. So this has been another episode of the Designated Players Podcast, episode 35, not 36, but we will see you at episode 36. See ya.